Hello, Elly here from Thankful Flow Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me for day 3 in our 30 days of yoga in January. But you could be doing this at any other time. So if it's not January, then equally hello and welcome. So today we are going to be exploring a heart opening flow. So what this means is that we are going to be doing some spinal extension, so some back bends, but there'll be different options throughout, so always taking an option that works for you. We'll also be doing a little bit of opening into the hips throughout this flow and thinking about our heart chakra, which is Anahata. So this is all about our love, of course, but love for ourselves and others and having a balance of the two. So knowing and connecting to loving and caring for ourselves will in turn give us even more love and care to give to others. So finding that important balance and our connection with others. So that's what this kind of heart chakra energy is all about. So opening into this space today. So we're going to start the class by coming into a Supta Baddha Konasana with a bolster. So grabbing your bolster if you have one. If you don't, you can get creative. Use cushions, blankets. You can use your blocks to elevate the spine and have one under the head as well. So get creative, and if you don't want to, you can come into your Supta Baddha Konasana just lying directly on your mat. So I'm going to bring my bolster underneath my spine and my head, and then let the knees drop out to the side and let your arms come out to the side, palms facing up, and close off your eyes now. So we ground into this practice. Taking some slow, soft breaths, surrendering your body weight to the bolster, the ground, your mat. And starting to bring your awareness into the body, seeing what you can notice today. Observing how that breath feels. In this practice, we're leading with the breath, following with the body, and observing with the mind. It's coming back to a resting pose at any time that you need to. Honoring how your body feels today and what you need today. What do you need from this practice? And seeing if you can take the options that are going to serve you in that way, nourishing your body. So drawing the knees in together now. Just going to gently roll your bolster away, or take anything that you had under your back, just rolling that away. Coming down to a lying position. So feet are roughly hip width apart, and arms are by the side of the body. And draw your pelvis gently up and in towards the body. Notice the lower back connecting more closely to your mat. From here, lift the pelvis away and start to lift the spine away. So hips are coming up to the sky, finding this bridge position. See if you can float your arms up and over here as well. Glutes and legs switched on. Slowly exhale, drawing the spine back down to the mat, bringing the hips down last and floating the arms back down as you go. So 3 more of these with your breath. Inhaling, lifting the hips up, exhaling, floating the hips back down. 2 more. Try and make these nice slow and controlled movements with your breath. And when you finished your last one, just bringing the hips back down to the mat. Step your feet out to the outside edges of the mat and let your knees drop in together, reconstructive rest position. And then see if you can cross your arms over here. So bring your right arm over the left, just coming into this position where our hands are working towards touching the shoulder blades. So like giving yourself a big hug. The body's folding in on itself. We're stretching into the shoulders and the back of the body. And although our heart chakra is thought of as being in this chest area, it is also in the back of the body. This energy is connected to the shoulders, the arms. So this whole area is what we'll be looking at today. Releasing the arms, switching it over, so left arm's on top of the right this time, taking that hug, reaching the hands around to the shoulder blades. You can give yourself a little massage here if that feels good too. Taking slow and soft breaths. And releasing the arms now, gently roll over so that you're on your tummy. And inhale from here, roll the shoulders back, peel the chest away from the mat and find your Sphinx position. Just coming down onto the forearms, elbows underneath the shoulders roughly, sending the gaze out in front. So again, opening across this heart space here. And you can have a really light activation in the legs and the glutes, but we're not clenching the lower body here because we've got more support than what we have in our cobra, for example, or upward facing dog. So the forearms are down, which is helping to support us in this back bend, in this spinal extension. So you can have light activation in the legs, but you don't need to be really clenching the legs or the glutes here. So then from here, and you can adjust this left arm as much as you need to, bending in your right leg, start to draw your right heel in towards the hips. So finding a quad stretch, gently pressing the hips towards the mat. Release the right leg, come on to the other side. Left hand's taking the left foot, drawing it in. And if the hand can't reach the foot for you, then no worries. You're just bending that the left leg in and pressing the hips towards the mat. Release that left leg down. Press the hands into the mat. Inhale, lift yourself through to your all fours tabletop position. Hips stacked above the knees. Exhale, start to walk your hands out in front. Melt your heart and your head down to the mat. for puppy pose and our heart, melting heart pose. Coming onto the forearms if you need more support here. Really melting that heart down to the ground. Stretching into the cervical part of the spine, the shoulders. Inhale, walk the hands back in. Tuck your toes under and walk your feet in, finding a standing forward fold. So you can bend your legs as much as you need to. Lift the chest slightly. See if you can find an interlace with the hands behind the back. And then fold over, letting the arms drop over. And again, if this feels too much on your shoulders or on any part of the body, then you don't have to take the interlace option. You can just take your standing forward fold instead here. So shifting a bit of weight into the balls of the feet, the mounds of the big toes. Inhale, start to lift the chest, release the hands from the interlace, draw the belly in as you lift up to standing mat. Inhale, sweep the hands up to the sky, lift your ribs away from your hips. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold, bend your legs as much as you need to. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen your spine, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come down to the mat. Step or jump the feet back to plank. And move through your chaturanga. So I'll do the modified version to start with. We're exhaling, dropping the knees down. Keep your elbows tucked in. Lower the chest and the chin down to the mat. Inhale, roll your shoulders back. Peel the chest away. Cobra. Activate the legs and the glutes. Exhale, melt the chest back down to the ground. Inhale, press the hands into the mat. Lift the body away. Either come through tabletop position or you're exhaling straight back to your downward facing dog. Lifting the hips to the sky, keeping as much bend as you need to in the legs. You can always take a child's pose instead here. And rolling your triceps down. So imagine hugging your arms in towards your ears in your downward facing dog. And then lifting the hips to the sky. Press the mat away with your hands. On your next inhale, sweep your right foot through between the hands. Reach the fingertips up to the sky, finding your high lunge, lifting up and out from the pelvis. Exhale, float the arms down. See if you can find an interlace behind the back. If interlacing the fingers behind the back is not for you, you can reach back with the fingertips, still getting that lovely opening across the chest. Breathing here. From here, draw your left heel down to the mat. Open out to find your warrior two. Sinking into that right leg, relax the shoulders. Flip the right palm up so that it's facing the ceiling. Inhale, lift up and out from the waist. Find your reverse warrior or peaceful warrior. An option to wrap this left hand around the back. Maybe the left hand comes around to find the right thigh. That's just an option. Unraveling back to your warrior two. And then from here, see if you can bring your weight into this right foot. And we're bending the left leg in and bringing your hand to your left foot. Now, you could be working here. You could be using a wall to support you here. So this could be where you're taking your dancer pose today. If you're familiar with dancer pose and it's in your practice, you're going to be reaching your right fingertips up to the sky. So you're lifting the crown of the head to the ceiling, and before we drop the chest, the main thing is that we're actually finding the back bend first. So we're pressing the left foot into the hand back into the foot, and finding this movement first with the back leg. And then maybe you might start to drop the chest slightly. Breathing here. Well done, releasing. Take a big step back, float the hands down, come back to your plank position, and we'll work through our chaturanga. So either taking the modified version, so inhaling, either taking a cobra or an upward facing dog. And on the exhale, coming back to your downward facing dog, or taking a child's pose here. And taking this moment to reconnect with your breath. Feel where the breath's travelling to within your body. Notice how you're feeling, how the body's feeling. Inhale, we sweep the left foot through between the hands. Reach the fingertips up to the sky. Lift up and out from the waist. Always finding that length through the spine so that we're not sitting into the lower back. We're lifting and lengthening. Float the hands down. Take the interlace or sweep back with the fingertips, opening across the chest. Still finding that lift. Remember that in your high lunge, the back leg can have a little bend in it, doesn't have to be locked straight. Now from here, draw your right heel down, open out, find your warrior two. Sinking into that left leg, pressing the feet down and away into the mat. Gaze over the left fingertips. Flip the left palm up so that it's facing the ceiling. Inhale, lift up and out from the waist. Find your peaceful warrior. Option to float the right hand around, maybe the right fingers come around to that left thigh, but no worries if that is not for you. Keep imagining that you're shooting energy through your left fingertips up to the sky. Floating back now to your warrior two. And then we're going to come into this left leg. So left leg, standing leg this time. Bending your right leg in. Taking your hand to the right foot. So again, could be that you're working with your balance here. Could be using a wall. Could be reaching the left hand up to the sky. The next option is we're finding our dancer pose. So again here, focusing on finding this extension, this bend through the spine first by starting to press your right foot into your right hand. Imagine pressing the hand back into the foot. So really finding that bend, that extension without dropping the chest. So finding that first, keeping that tension with the hand and the foot and the foot and the hand. And then maybe you start to drop the chest slightly, but the main thing is this back leg. finding this opening in the body. Breathing here, finding a drishti or a gazing point to focus on. Well done. And releasing, taking a big step back, floating the hands down and the feet down to plank. Taking your final chaturanga here, inhaling, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhaling back to your downward facing dog. Well done. Pausing here for a moment, lifting those hips to the sky. And then we're going to drop the knees down from here, so back in an all fours position, and walk your hands in, come up to high kneeling. Now, you have an option here to just take a child's pose, so you could come straight into your child's pose here and take that if that's what you're feeling for. Otherwise, we're going to come into our camel pose. So a nice, again, a lovely heart opening pose. This is really good for stretching the front of the body as well. So we're going to bring the hands to the lower back, squeeze the elbows in together. So elbows coming towards each other. And inhale, reach the crown of the head to the ceiling, press the hips forwards, glutes, legs switched on. And then start to send your gaze up to the ceiling. So it could be that you're working here in a baby camel. You've got the option to tuck your toes under as well, which sometimes can feel more supportive, to then bring your hands maybe coming back to the heels, finding your camel here. But just taking whichever variation is right for you. Keep pressing the hips forward, keep the legs switched on. Inhaling, hands coming back to the lower back, coming nice, and then we're going to sit the hips down towards the heels and really slowly start to walk the hands forwards. So we're finding a child's pose, but allow your spine time to come into your child's pose, so slowly lowering down. This is a kind of counter pose to the back bending that we've just done. So don't force yourself straight into anything here. Take it nice and slow. And when you're ready, melting the forehead and the heart down to the mat. You can bring the arms to the side of the body if that feels more restorative for you, closing the eyes or taking a steady gaze. Often when we do a heart opening practice or we do a lot of back bends, this can often bring up different emotions, different feelings. So making space for whatever's there today. No judgment, no right or wrong or good or bad. Just allowing whatever's there to surface, letting it pass through. And I always recommend, if you ever need to, journaling after your yoga practice can be a really great way to process any different emotions, different things coming up. And slowly opening the eyes back up when you're ready. Starting to come away from your child's pose back to a kneeling position or a seated position on your mat. If you have longer, then I definitely recommend taking a longer shavasana or meditation if you need to, but we will be doing some of those types of practices throughout this 30 days of yoga. So bring the hands to heart center with me to close off the practice, and we'll raise the hands to the forehead to acknowledge our inner wisdom. Bring the hands to the lips to acknowledge speaking your truth. To the heart to acknowledge living with compassion for yourself and others. And to the ground to acknowledge being in the present moment. Thank you so much for being here and joining me for this practice. Do comment and feedback to me on how you're getting on, and I can't wait to see you for another flow very soon. Link below to other things that I offer, and do subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying these flows. Thank you so